In a peaceful valley called Oakhaven, where golden wheat fields stretched to the horizon and a deep blue river gently wound its way through every leaf, there were two young men who had been inseparable since childhood: Eldrick and Calum. They grew up together in dusty alleyways, studied beneath the shade of ancient trees, and wove dreams of a bright future while gazing at the night sky from their humble thatched rooftops. Both came from poor working families. Their fathers were simple farmers who had spent their lives toiling under the sun in the fields of wealthy landowners, hoping only to earn enough to feed their families each day. When Eldrick and Calum came of age, each received a small inheritance from his father worth 5,000 silver coins. Eldrick's father grasped his hand and in a trembling voice instructed him, "This is all I can leave you. Guard it carefully, don't lose even a single coin. Money saved is money earned." Eldrick engraved those words in his heart. To him safety came first. He wrapped the 5,000 silver coins in an old cloth, dug a hole, and buried it firmly beneath the floor of the small hut where he lived. Every day he worked as a hired laborer, saving every small coin from each harvest and quietly adding it to the bundle beneath the ground. He felt proud that his treasure was always protected from every storm. In complete contrast, Calum's father gave him a different philosophy. "My son, money is like water. If it stands still, it becomes stagnant and gradually dries up. Let it flow, let it grow, and it will nourish many other fields." Calum understood that money was not meant to be worshipped, but to be used as a tool to create life. He did not bury his money. Instead, he used the entire amount to buy the finest dairy cow in the region. When Eldrick found out, he could not help but laugh mockingly. "You're so foolish. That cow could fall ill or die at any moment. You have to feed it and care for it every day. Why trade the safety of money for such a great risk?" But Calum only smiled. He chose to rise before the sun had even appeared to tend to his animal, collecting the freshest milk to bring to the market. While Eldrick believed he was protecting his future by tightly holding onto what he had, Calum had begun his journey of letting his money move and multiply. Time began to pass like summer clouds drifting across the sky of Oakhaven. Eldrick remained completely confident in his choice. Each day he continued to work tirelessly as a hired laborer in the fields of the landowners. During the busy harvest season, he earned 50 silver coins a day, but when the season passed, that number dropped to only 20 coins. No matter the circumstances, Eldrick maintained the most frugal lifestyle possible. Every extra coin was carefully treasured, wrapped securely, and secretly buried in the jar beneath the ground. To him, each time he touched the bundle of money growing thicker day by day, he felt absolute reassurance about the future. One late afternoon, seeing Calum leading his dairy cow out to graze, Eldrick could not hold back and said, "Why did you choose such a difficult path? My money lies safely untouched, while you have to feed that creature every day, worry about it falling sick or even dying. You're gambling your entire future." Calum only smiled, his eyes looking far ahead with optimism. He did not see the cow as a burden, but as a tool to create a flow of value. Every day Calum woke up while the mist still covered the valley to care for his animal. He collected the milk and brought it to the village market to sell. Within just the first 6 months, something remarkable happened. The cow gave birth to a calf. 2 years later, from a single cow, Calum owned a herd of 3 healthy cows. When the 5-year mark passed, the difference began to appear starkly. Eldrick had now saved nearly 2,000 silver coins. He felt extremely proud of his discipline and thrift. Yet a silent reality began to suffocate his life: inflation. Eldrick was stunned to realize that the same amount of vegetables that once cost 2 coins had now risen to 5 coins. Ordinary clothes that used to cost 100 coins had now soared to 300 coins. Although the amount of money in Eldrick's jar had increased, their true purchasing power was shrinking day by day. He still possessed the same money, but the world around him had become many times more expensive. In contrast to his friend's anxiety, Calum's small farm had grown remarkably now with 10 dairy cows. He no longer worked alone, but had hired 2 young men in the village to help with the business. Milk from his farm was no longer sold only in the village, but also supplied to a neighboring town. When Eldrick asked in utter confusion how he had achieved all this, Calum calmly replied, "It's simple. My cows are still working and generating money even while I sleep. My initial 5000 coins did not stand still, they multiplied themselves over time." Eldrick stood speechless. He began to faintly realize a painful truth while he tried to protect his money like an unchanging treasure. That very stillness had caused it to gradually lose value. He had forgotten that money, if not put into motion to grow, would be worn down by time and the cost of living, until it became nothing more than meaningless numbers. 10 years had passed since Eldrick and Calum received their inheritance from their fathers. By now, beneath the floor of Eldrick's hut, the amount had reached 50,000 silver coins. On paper, it was a massive sum, proof of his extreme frugality. Yet the world outside Oakhaven had changed so much that Eldrick no longer recognized it. A sack of rice that once cost 200 coins had now risen to 600 coins. Medical expenses had tripled, and tuition books and uniforms for his children had become a heavy burden on his shoulders. Eldrick painfully realized that he was digging up the hard-earned coins he had carefully buried, not to enjoy life, but merely to maintain basic survival. Meanwhile, Calum now owned a vast dairy farm with 30 healthy cows on 5 acres of land. He employed 10 villagers, owned a modern tractor, and most importantly, Calum possessed peace of mind. One afternoon, as the sunset cast a golden glow over the valley, Eldrick sat beside Calum on the porch of the farmhouse, his voice choked with regret. "I don't understand. We started from the same line with the same amount of money. Why have our lives taken such different paths?" Calum placed a hand on his friend's shoulder and pointed toward the small pond at the end of the garden. "Do you see that pond? The water there is pale and foul-smelling because it has no inlet or outlet. It stands still and slowly dies. Now look at the river flowing beside those fields. It is always fresh, clear, and brings life to everything it passes." Calum paused for Eldrick to absorb the words before continuing. "Our money is the same. When you save without purpose, you think you are protecting the future, but in reality, money that stands still gradually loses value. What could buy a cow yesterday might not even buy a goat today. I'm not luckier than you. I simply understand that money must move, must work as hard as we do. A flowing river reaches the great sea, while a stagnant pond will soon dry up." For the first time in 10 years, Eldrick truly understood. The next morning, he no longer buried his money in the ground. Eldrick used his remaining savings to buy 2 breeding cows from Calum's farm. Though late, it was not too late to start again. Their story leaves behind a truth that many people realize too late. There is a vast difference between protecting money and growing money. When we let money sleep, the world continues to move, prices rise, and the value of what we hold gradually fades. Money is a tool, not a treasure to be worshipped. When you let money work, whether by learning a new skill or investing wisely, it multiplies and creates opportunities for both you and those around you. Remember, money saved is money earned, but money invested is money multiplied.